Welcome in, everybody. This is the Good Shepherd on the Infinity Sports Network. It is great to be with you, however, and wherever you may be listening from. We are, of course, joined by the OG of the Infinity Sports Network, Jody Mac. Jody Mac, how you doing, my friend?
Shep, good to see you. Been a minute. The beard's looking pretty good there, pal. I gotta tell you, you can pull off lumberjack.
I appreciate that. It's cold. You're a Northeast guy. You get it. Jody Mac, obviously, I want to ask you some sports questions. I first got to ask you this.
hmm
You started hosting at WFAN in 1987, but I know that's not when your radio career actually began. For us folks in the audience that may not necessarily know exactly how it began, walk us through that.
I Are you going to WCDB, the Capital District's best, where I did sports talk and a couple of games, football and basketball on my Albany State school radio station. That was my only previous radio experience. And I thought I was pretty good at it then. But to be truthful with you, I never had any idea that I was going to get into radio. No, WFAN was the first place that I ever worked and was on the air that actually paid me. Didn't pay me a lot, but they did pay me. So I'm not sure what you're referring to unless you're talking about my Great Dane broadcasts.
Right, with it. I mean, so Jody Mac, so you've been on the air in a radio talk show host capacity for essentially the last 40 years. This is not an easy business. It is not meant to be sustainable for most people. You have made it work for 4 decades. Besides your passion and love for sports and your listeners and your fans, how have you gone so strong for 4 decades?
Well, you touched on the key elements there. You got to like what you do. You have to be engaged with, if you're going to do a talk show. When I started with FAN at 1987, yeah, I was on from midnight to 6, similar
Oof.
hours to you and I doing those type hours. So, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you just keep talking and talking and talking and talking for 6 straight hours, people are going to tune out. So I did not know. I hoped that there would be a caller or two, maybe an hour, maybe three if I got lucky. The only place that you could do something like that is in New York, the city that never sleeps. And sure enough, as an inexperienced 26-year-old kid, first night I jumped on, I said, and if you want to get in touch, 718-937-6666. And the lines lit up because people love sports and want to talk about sports. And New York is as big a market and as strong a sports market as you're going to find. So I just played the hits. I got on, let the people talk. I put some of my opinion out there, let them call and argue if they want, let them call and tell me I know exactly what I'm talking about. And I've been calling for, yeah, 38 plus years.
It's amazing how much, I mean, you still got gas left in the tank. There's no question about that. You listen to any one of your shows this past week, not only do you have the fan base still, but you still got the passion, you got the zest for it. How much longer you want to do this?
A while. I'm not anywhere near desirous of retiring. Some
Right.
people make that decision for you. Infinity Sports Network, thank you. Um,
Go
but
on.
I'm still doing my Philly stuff, and I got a couple irons in the fire, asking some people if they would like a pretty experienced guy who's been doing sports talk for a while. So I'm still looking. I'm still hoping. I'm not anywhere near ready to step aside
That's what I'm talking about.
unless, of course, I hit Powerball this week. Then you'll never hear me. You'll never see me. I'll buy an island. I'll invite you once a year for a party, and that'll be about it, buddy. But I haven't been able to hit the Powerball, and I've been playing it now for, say you said, 30, almost 40 years on the radio. That's about how long I've been playing Powerball too. So, but
Right.
that's why you keep playing, just in case, so you can rewrite your life any way you want.
Speaking of Powerball again, and you know this voice, you know this face, it is the OG of the Infinity Sports Network, Jody Mac, been holding it down for the last 13 years on this network. And anyone that is a history buff of sports talk radio, you know that Jody Mac is the only host of the Infinity Sports Network slash CBS Sports Radio to be with us from the very beginning until the very end. Speaking of hitting the Powerball,
Mhm.
Jalen Hurts, not even a first round draft pick. I thought he was a steal. Granted, did not play great at all against the Chargers, but to me, he is still the real deal. Jody Mack, you assess the Eagles right now compared to the Rams, the 49ers, the Seahawks. Those to me are the only three other teams that I believe can get out of the NFC. Where do you stand right now on the Eagles' chances of going back to back as Super Bowl champions?
Did you watch Monday Night Football last night, sir?
Oh yes. Oh
Oh, don't
yes.
don't, don't be counting out those 49ers yet. You didn't put them in the mix. And I
Oh,
watched,
did I disrespect Mr. Irrelevant? Did I just do that, Jody Mac?
yeah, you went Eagles, Rams, and Seahawks. Yeah,
All
you
he
kind
does
of
is go
left.
for 5 touchdowns. What am I thinking?
And I've been a Purdy guy since day one. So, yeah,
Right.
I will have no problem if the 49ers make it to the Super Bowl and host the Super Bowl, which will be the third time in 6 years that happened. They're all close. Seth, Shep, we don't have a standout right now. There's no, this is the team to beat in the NFC. There's no, this is the team to beat in the AFC. Broncos have the best defense, but I watched the Jags go up and down the field against them this past week. Why can't the Jags go to a Super Bowl? Liam Cohen might be the bright. I know Ben Johnson's getting a lot of ink, and he
Yes.
should
Yes.
because Caleb Williams is taking a big step up, and he's only in his second year. All right, it took Trevor Lawrence a couple more years to come around to the come to Jesus moment, and guess what? Liam Cohen is the guy who got him there. Aikman made this remark at the end of the game last night on Monday Night Football, and he was dead on right. Buck was helping him out. There are like 6 or 7 legitimate Coach of the Year candidates in the NFL. Usually 2 or 3 separate from themselves in the debate between the two guys. There are 7 guys that you can make a real strong argument for that they're the Coach of the Year. You know what that tells me? Anybody can win this year. It's wide open.
Yeah.
There is no definitive favorite. These last couple of weeks, this week is going to be really key because last week teams, depending on where they're seated and if it can't move, they'll play their subs. So you can't read anything into that. But this week, keep an eye on all those teams. They're headed to the playoffs, how they look, because going into the playoffs with momentum is always a good thing. And it may determine who should be the favorite when they get the postseason underway.
We're again joined by the OG of the Infinity Sports Network, Jody Mac on the Infinity Sports Network. Jody, finish this sentence for me. If Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills fall short of making at least the Super Bowl, what should happen with Sean McDermott?
I thought you were going to go with Josh Allen. I was going to go, you come on.
No, I'm not that stupid.
I know he hadn't gotten to a
Jody,
Super Bowl, but you can't
everybody
move on.
nationally, except for maybe you and I, are not closing the window on Josh Allen and the Super Bowl run.
No.
Every time he doesn't make it, the guy's still in his 20s, and we act like he's out to pasture every single time they come up short.
Did get a little perturbed this week when some people, Zach Gelb, said that Josh Allen was back in the MVP race, and then he went out and played a mediocre game last week. He's
Right.
not. It's Drake May, it's Stafford, it's a 2-horse race.
I agree.
Sorry about that, Josh. But Josh can show a little something coming in against that Eagle defense this week. Eagles defense is one of the best in football again. Didn't think it was going to be after they lost as many guys to free agency as they did last year, but they are that good. Their secondary is the best in all of football, bar none. So if Josh Allen goes out, throws for 3 touchdowns, runs one in, all right, maybe we sneak him into the back end of the conversation again next week. McDermott's a good coach, and I know you got to get over the hump at some point. Otherwise, they're going to call for change.
8 years, Jody Mac. 8 years with Josh Allen as your starting quarterback. I mean, Rex Grossman can make a Super Bowl. Brad Johnson can make a Super Bowl. You got to make it with Superman in year 8, no?
Well, they're actually beating the drum for this, which I don't understand. You going to fire Harbaugh in Baltimore too?
That's a
Because
great
he
question.
hasn't gotten there.
Well, Jody Mac, how do you explain Lamar, who's MVP like in the regular season, and when he gets to the postseason, minus 2 games, he falls flat every single time, and they always lose on a key turnover in which it's self-inflicted. How do you explain that?
That's why it's even worse this year because he's not MVP level. At least
No,
you're right. 2
right.
MVPs and just didn't get it done in the playoffs. He's not even anywhere near MVP conversation this year. As per his own standards, he's had a mediocre year. So yeah, when you don't, when the expectations get so high and you don't achieve them, people are going to start to scream for change. And I would not be surprised if Harbaugh had to sweat this season out. Nobody will call for Lamar's change because he got 2 MVPs, but he's underachieved even more so than Josh Allen in the
Without
postseason.
question.
So
Without
uh,
question.
I would not, if I were the guy running either the Baltimore Ravens, or the Buffalo Bills, I'm the owner of either of those 2 teams. I put them on notice that next year, Yes, Super Bowl or bust, and you guys should know what bust means. You'll get your check on the 15th and the 30th if you got a year on your deal, but we won't need you on the sidelines. I don't think either of those two teams should go to a shakeup, and Baltimore's not even going to make the playoffs, so they'll have to make decisions first. But if Buffalo gets picked off again in the second round of the playoffs, am I looking to run McDermott out? No, I still think he's too good a coach for that.
Absolutely. And again, we are joined by the great Jody Mac right here on the Good Shepherd on the Infinity Sports Network. Jody Mac, how high are you on the Philadelphia 76ers? The East, it's more wide open than it's ever been before in the 76ers era of Joel Embiid. Obviously, Halliburton being out, you have Jason Tatum being out. The 76ers came on really strong at the beginning of the season. Now they're coming back to earth a little bit somewhat, but you talk about the two-headed monster in that backcourt with Edgecombe and Maxey, and then Joel Embiid, when healthy, I know that's an operative word, but when healthy, he's still one of the better setters in the NBA. Paul George can still play, especially for a guy in year 16. Where do you stand on the Sixers in terms of their chances of finally making it to at least an Eastern Conference Finals?
Here's the enjoyable thing about the 76ers this year from a 76er fan. For the last several years, you had to sweat it out. Is Joel going to play tonight? Is Joel going to play tonight? You think you're going down to the game. All right, we're going to see Joel. Oh, Joel not going to play tonight. And you would A, be ticked off, and then B, watch the 76ers lose. The 76ers are winning without Joel Embiid. They're
Sure.
actually playing better when he's not playing. He's had a couple of monster Joel games, 38 points, 12 rebounds, but they're winning without him. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. So investing in the 76ers as your team for an entire season, much easier than it's been these last couple of years. Does that mean they're NBA championship bound? Well, they need to crawl before they can walk. They for the entire Embiid era, since the process came to play, they've never gotten past the second round. They've gotten first round wins and then bounced. And I know Kawhi had a shot that hit the rim 4 times before it went through the hoop in the game 7, but it went through and they lost.
Yeah.
And they always lose in the second round. So
Right. Right.
enjoy it. Maxey is worth the price of admission. They play harder and more competitive. When they get past the second round of the playoffs, then I'll really start to believe, all right, this is a serious contender.
That's a fair point. Again, we are joined by the OG of the Infinity Sports Network, Jody Mac. Jody, we got to ask you a baseball question because we
Yeah.
know that is among your expertise when it comes to sports. But then again, you pretty much know every single sport. Listen, you talk about the extension with Kyle Schwarber. You talk about Bryce Harper being there, JT Realmuto. I mean, they got some dogs. They got some pieces for sure, and they've been knocking on the door for quite some time. A lot of Philly fans are expecting a World Series. Now we know the juggernaut, we know the Goliath in Major League Baseball are the Dodgers at this particular point. The rich get richer. You talk about bringing in Edwin Diaz. It's just unbelievable what they've been able to do. The only team to repeat as World Series champions in this century, Jody Mack.
Yep.
Is Philly the biggest threat to the Dodgers in 2026? If not, who?
In the National League, they are. They're the second best team in the National League. Sorry, Padre fans. Sorry, fans of any other team, and Mets
Right.
fans, Braves fan. They're the second best team. They should be the second best team. But one name you did put into that mix, which I hope you're right, it isn't official yet, is the fact that they haven't gotten JT Realmuto signed.
Sure.
And I absolutely believe when free agency started, well, they'll get Real Muto done, then they're going to have to find a way to bring back Schwarber and maybe Ranger Suarez and the other free agent they had. They got Schwarber done, and JT's sitting out there. And I said this on the Infinity Network this past weekend around baseball as much as I have been on both the media side and inside side. Christmas is a real deadline. Players who are free agents want to get signed by Christmas. They don't want to have to tell their kids when they're asking, Daddy, where am I going to school this year? I don't know. Go ask your mom. No, that doesn't work for dad. That doesn't work for the player. He's working that agent to get that deal done. And we're now hours away from Christmas, and JT Realmuto is still sitting out there. That's a big piece. And I know some Philly fans. They've gone to the playoffs 4 straight years, one World Series participation, got beat by the Astros, and
Right.
they've gone less and less each year. So they're
Correct.
unfortunately trending in the wrong direction. But they haven't gone to the playoffs 4 straight years, and that's got to count for something in my eyes. If they want to stay a playoff team, they have to get JT signed. Don't give me this. You can't just run it back thing. All right, so let's not run it back. Let's let JT Realmuto walk. Who's your catcher? Rafael Marchand? Come on. Did you see the other free agent catchers who were out there?
Right,
Among
right.
them all, there's not one starter. There's
Yep.
not one catcher you would put in the top 30 in baseball, and he'd be meritorious of his starting role. So take your, oh, we can't run it back again because we haven't been able to get over the top. Key pieces you always keep, and JT Realmuto is as key a piece as the Phillies have, and they got to get him re-signed.
We are again joined by the OG of the Infinity Sports Network, Jody Mac, and you can always catch Jody Mac every single Saturday. Every single Saturday, you can catch him 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Time, and Sunday 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Jody Mac, yes, you're saying
One more. That's all I got is one Saturday.
that
So
that's
you got
that's yeah,
this Saturday.
I mean, just well, I do want to ask you one more question about the Infinity Sports Network, but before I ask you that, Jody Mac, I think I know the answer to this. I was speaking to Jim Leland
Really?
the other day on our show, yeah,
How's
and
Leland? I
he,
love him. I haven't talked to him at the dog's age.
well, he's great. I mean, I was giving him all the flowers and praise in the world for coming on, and he goes, okay, like just it doesn't give you a lot of emotion, doesn't give you
No.
a lot. He's not verbose, he's not going to be wordy, he's not going to be excessive with anything. He's just a guy that goes out there, does his job, goes home. He's old school. He's
Yep.
the quintessential definition of an old school manager. Listen, how many guys can actually go into Barry Bonds' face, point the finger, and Barry Bonds goes home, right? So he has the ultimate credibility with his players. And I asked him, because we know he managed Mickey, right? We know he managed Verlander. He managed some all-time greats. I asked him without hesitation, who's the greatest player he ever managed or managed against, and he didn't hesitate. He said Barry Bonds, didn't have to think about it for a nanosecond. I think I know the answer for this for you, but out of all the baseball that you have watched and witnessed, you talk about what Shohei Ohtani has just accomplished these last, 6 years. We've never seen anything like it. Who in your lifetime, in terms of being worth the price of admission, is the one player you would pay top dollar to see over anybody else?
Baseball, you're talking.
Yes, sir.
Baseball only. I might go with Jimmy Leland on this one. And oh, by the way, he still doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame, but Barry Bonds was more of a showstopper in the last 50 years than any other in Major League Baseball. Yeah, I think forever I've been saying it depends on how you define greatest player of all time, the GOAT. The GOAT in baseball is either Babe Ruth because he had a bigger effect on the game than anyone. Talk about changing a game. Nobody changed the game like Babe Ruth did, and he did so at the highest of high levels, whether pitching or throwing. And that's another reason why Ohtani is what he is because he's doing something that hasn't been done forever. You got to go back to Ruth to make comparisons. It could be Ruth, or if you want to look at it differently, in defining the greatest being able to have all the skills necessary, ability to hit, ability to run, hit with power, that's Willie Mays.
Sure.
And I got to see the tail end of Willie Mays' career. I sure saw him in the Giant uniform, but even by that point, when I started watching baseball in '68, he was starting to tail off. But I surely know of what he was, and I've talked to enough people that did get a chance to see him live both in New York and in San Francisco on an almost daily basis. Willie checked more boxes than anyone who ever did, and more than Ohtani too. So I'm not putting him Ohtani in that conversation. How'd Ohtani play defensively this year? Oh, that's right, he didn't play defense. Willie's one of the greatest defensive center fielders in the history of the game.
Sure.
So, um, but I didn't see him for his whole career. I surely didn't see Babe Ruth. I'm the OG, but I'm not that old. Um, Probably Bonds. Yeah, he's probably the most talented player in the last 50 years, most must-see player. I'll go with that.
Absolutely. Again, we are joined by Jody McDonald, aka Jody Mac. You can hear him every single Saturday, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Time, and every single Sunday, you can hear him from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Jody Mac, I know you're not one to be sentimental. Doesn't mean you don't have a heart. We know how big your heart is. We know how much you care about your audience, but this is it's a difficult time. It's a tough time for a lot of us because we're disappointed that we have to give up this particular time of our career. And for someone that has been doing this for 38 plus years on the radio, for someone that has been so successful at ESPN, at WFAN, at WIP, there is only one host that has been with Infinity Sports Network from start to finish, and that is you. What has this particular chapter of your career meant to you? And how would you sum up your audience and your fans on this network specifically?
Well, I did some national radio prior to the Infinity Sports or CBS at the time, Sports
Right.
Network getting underway. I was actually part of ESPN Radio when all they were was weekends. Before there was a Mike and Mike, they just did started on Friday night and went through till Sunday night. And then they had some success with it and they decided we can do this 24 hours a day. Boom. And they had a national network. So I did that, shoot, back in the early 90s. Filled in for Dan Patrick on his show, filled in for
Who's-
Tony Bruno on his show.
Dan Patrick and Tony Bruno, the names sound familiar.
Yeah, you've heard of both of those guys, huh?
George is even getting excited when you mention Dan
Dan
Patrick.
Patrick, yeah,
Look at that.
Patrick has that effect. So I had done some, but not a lot. I did ESPN weekends for 14 months, something like that. And then my Philly boss told me, you can't do that anymore. And I had to stop. But to talk to a national audience every single week, year in, year out, going through the years, you build up a camaraderie, as you pointed out, with your listeners, your callers, and everybody else, but your own fandom for the game. When you're doing local sports talk radio, 99% of what you do is about the teams that play in your town, and 1% is everything else that goes on in world sports. You can't do that with national sports talk show. You got to know it all. You got to follow it all. You got to do research on it all. And while it's more time consuming, it's you're looking up sports. You're watching games on TV. That's not really doing work, is it? Take up a little bit of time, but that's it. And you're getting paid to do that, to be on top of that, to be able to do your shows thereafter. Uh, it's a different ballgame. Local is one thing, national's another. I've done them both. I enjoy them both. I enjoy them both for different reasons. But national comes with a little bit more prominence because it's really fun to be able to talk to a guy from New York, and then a guy from Florida, and a guy from Arkansas, and then a guy from Denver, and then a guy from San Francisco, and know that they're all specifically wanting your opinion on what's going on in the world of sports. It's a little bit of an ego stroke.
You're gonna get just a little bit emotional on that final show.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I will try not to
right.
because I that's not me. You're right. I would if you're gonna get my emotion, you're gonna get me laughing more than anything else, not tearing up or anything like that. The good and the bad of what's transpired here in the last 6 weeks with the Infinity Network is they did give us enough advance notice. A lot of people are just told, maybe one of them, thanks, your service is no longer needed. See ya. And that's it. You don't get a last show. You don't get to let people know that you're leaving and where you can be found going down the road. So I will at least say that was good in that they gave us enough notice to be able to start looking for other gigs if we wanted them and to be able to share whatever we wanted to share with our audience as we were going off the stage left. I was hoping to stay, and I thought for a couple seconds there I might be able to stay with the new Westwood One network. They're wiping the slate clean. Too many networks, too many businesses do their business that way. You're going to make a change, you're going to change it all. So I get it. It's not like they did us dirty. That's just the industry in which we're in. But I did appreciate the fact that, well, yeah, some guys have already had their last says. You and I are going to continue to get them all the way through next weekend.
Sure.
It'll be good to be able to go out on the air on the terms that I want to go out on.
Well, Jody Mac, as someone who has produced for you, as someone that has been a colleague of yours for 13 years, I'm very joyful that you have a lot of years left in this game. You're someone that has been a staple in this industry for a long time, and I can't appreciate you and thank you enough just for working with you these last 13 years and how much you have helped me in so many different ways and how easy it has been to be a colleague of yours. So I appreciate you, Jody Mac, so much, man.
And for the fans of the Good Shepherd who are watching this show and watch and listen to Shep all the time, you know how good a sports talk show he is. He was a phenomenal producer before he ever got a chance to go on the air and do his thing in basketball to start, and then getting to do absolutely everything. Knows his stuff. You can tell he's a great dude, But maybe the underlying thing that people don't know is Shep was one hell of a producer, and I appreciated every time you did get a chance to work with me in that vein. I will miss listening to you for the short term. I'll miss you as a producer. We got to stay in touch because I don't want to miss you as a friend, buddy.
That means a lot, Jody Mac. Jump, jump.
We'll jump on out of here.
Jump, jump. Jody Mac, honor. You're the OG of the Infinity Sports Network. We had to have you on. Really excited for your future, and we'll be on again soon, somewhere, somehow. So I look forward to that continued success, Jody Mac. Happy holidays to you and yours, and let's stay in touch, my friend.
My pleasure, Shep. Thanks for putting me on.